As of today, I am 34 years old. I grew up in the Caribbean in Trinidad and Tobago. I lived most of my life here. I've done some traveling around the world, but I was educated here. I grew up in the suburbs, middle class. I went to public school. Um, so I have really been ingrained with Caribbean culture, what it means to be a Caribbean young man. And from young, we are instilled with beliefs that come from colonization. And these beliefs guide our perception of life and also our goals and our desires of life. And that's a problem. It's a big problem because these goals and these desires promise fulfillment, promise satisfaction, promise the good life, but they don't fulfill their promise. And that's unfortunate. And so many of us in the Caribbean, and I would say in the Western world, and places in the Eastern world which are dominated by a Western perspective, suffer from this unfulfilled promise that these things will give us happiness and peace and hope. And today, that is what we're going to discuss through a verse in the Dhammapada. Dhammapada is a classical Eastern scripture from the Buddhist tradition, and it's Buddha's words in verse form, and I have written commentary on it. And just to say, I'm not a Buddhist by initiation. I'm a lover of cross-culture religion and spiritual poetry. So in these talks, I'm not promoting that you should be a Buddhist. I am diving into truth to kind of uncover some gold and share it around the internet. Here's a spoon, here's a spoon. So yeah, here we have a very complicated verse. It's not, it needs to be unpacked. And I'm going to do that on a material level and on a subtle level because I feel like that will really give us a better picture of what this verse is telling us. I'm going to read it. It's not going to make much sense to most people, but then we will unpack it and we'll go through my commentary. Verse 11 and 12 of the Dhammapada. Buddha say, those who see truth in untruth and untruth in truth never arrive at truth, but follow false views. Verse 12, the reverse of it, they who see truth in truth and untruth in untruth arrive at truth, following right views. Now that is, that's confusing. That's confusing because Buddha is saying a book in 6 lines. And I'm going to try and break it down for you. So the word truth that is used here in English in the original language really means the essence, the heart, the core of something. In a good metaphor is like the outside of a tree, you could see the leaves, you could see the branches, you could see the bark, but the essence of the tree is the sap inside. And so what Buddha is saying in the first line, they who see truth in untruth. That means they who see what is essential, what is at the heart of life, the truth of life, they who see the essential in the untruth, in the unessential, in the superficial, they never arrive at truth. They who see truth, the essential, in untruth, the non-essential, never arrive at truth. So what does that mean? To see truth in untruth. First, let's look at what is untruth. Untruth in the Buddhist tradition is the belief, mosquitoes, can you give me a chance? These mosquitoes are untruth. This is one of the sufferings of growing up in the Caribbean. So untruth is the idea, the colonial idea, but it's not just colonial, it goes back way back. It's a classical era of what this human being should be doing. The untruth is that what we've been ingrained with, that material satisfaction, that bodily strength, that bodily beauty, that fame, that sensual satisfaction will lead us to a happy life. Get all of your material needs and life will be perfect. And there are many who see truth in that untruth. Okay? And next line. They who see truth in untruth and untruth in truth. Untruth in truth. The non-essential in the essential. The nonsense. They see nonsense in what is true. The untruth in truth. What does that mean? Well, for many people, they look at what actually brings a fulfilling life and say that is complete nonsense. They look at those being compassionate, those treating others as if they were themselves, those praying, those meditating, those giving charity. They see untruth in truth. They see that this activity is a waste of time. And they promote it as what are you doing with your life? You're just going temple, church. You're just wasting your time. Are you making any money? Do you have insurance? And so they believe that truth is untruth. And then they believe that untruth is truth. And what Buddha is saying here is that they never arrive at truth, but follow false views. In psychology, false views is a cognitive distortion. They have an error in their perception of reality. They have a belief system that is dysfunctional, and it does not produce the life that they want to live. And I have evidence of this. I have evidence that the colonial Western propaganda does not lead to happiness. And my evidence is Monday to Thursday in my clinical practice as a psychologist. I see firsthand, and it saddens me. It saddens me, but I see firsthand those that chase what Buddha is referring to as untruth, the colonial material pursuit of life, pursuit of happiness through the acquiring of satisfaction for the senses. I see that in people that come to therapy and how miserable they are and how their life falls apart before my eyes. I see beauty, the beauty that they have in their life, the gifts, the graces that they have acquired fall, disappear like that, because they have this belief, this false view that more equals better. As we say in Trinidad, well, they damn lie. That is nonsense. And I not only do I see it in the people that come to therapy, but I hear it in their stories about their parents. Old people who still are clinging on to this belief that this material life, acquiring material satisfaction, is somehow going to make them happy. Well, they run themselves into the grave long before they have their bodies ready to die. They are dead. They are living and they are dead. And the people around them wouldn't want to say this, but they wish they were dead because they cause so much suffering to the lives of others. And this is a belief system. This is in the Caribbean. This has not been passed down. This has been shoved down. This belief system invaded these islands and was maintained by gun and whip and big stone and cutlass. And it It is still here today. However, as we are seeing in this and in all traditions know that this is complete and utter nonsense. They never arrive at truth. They never arrive at the essence of life, what really makes life beautiful. They never arrive at it because they're following a false view. Let me go into my poetic commentary, which is way more subtle. I'm going to attempt to explain it, but sometimes poetry can't be explained. The symbols are too big, and I'm using really big symbols, especially in the first line. Poetic commentary. Seeing truth in untruth. Seeing truth in untruth. One more time. Seeing truth. Seeing goodness in falseness. Seeing truth in untruth. Fools grasp at the moonlight's reflection and fall into the ocean of samsara. Let me just pause there and unpack that. Your mind is like a little pond of water. Reality is reflected into your mind, into this pond of water. And you see an image of reality reflected on the surface of this pond of water. Now, in the nighttime, once it's clear and if it's a full moon, if you look at the pond of water, you can see the moon reflecting on the surface very clearly. However, that moon that is reflected on the surface of this pond of water, which is your mind, is not the moon. It is a reflection of the moon. And sometimes, especially with people pursuing rigorous spiritual practices or people pursuing a psychedelic approach to the transformation of consciousness, they perceive in their pool, in their pond, on the surface of their mind, things that appear as truth. However, even if truth appeared to them, they are still perceiving it through the medium, through the vehicle of the mind, and they only see a reflection of that truth. Now, if they go on to believe that there's truth in this untruth, there's truth in this superficial reflection, then they are following a false view. They are following a false belief, because the reflection of the moon is not the moon. The reflection of God or the reflection of the divine is not the divine. It's a reflection, it's a superficial perception of the divine. And if they cling to that, then they cling to a thread and miss the whole tapestry. And that's unfortunate. And so they fall into the ocean of samsara, the ocean of ignorance. So many people believe that they have grasped God. They have grasped the subtlety of the universe. And be very careful around people who say, I know. Because I know is the mind proclaiming it has understood reality. When the mind can only get a reflection of reality, because the mind is an instrument to perceive reality. The mind is a part of reality, but it's the instrument through which reality is perceived. You could get the greatest telescope, the best, the Hubble Bubble 360 degree 2.0 telescope, right? And you could see Jupiter as clear as day in this telescope. But you're just seeing a reflection. What you're seeing is such a superficial understanding and experience of what Jupiter actually is. And if you then say, this is Jupiter, here in my telescope, this is Jupiter, you are seeing truth in untruth. Claro? Get it? Okay. Next verse. Seeing untruth in truth, Fools wear dark shades and claim the sun does not shine. And finally, the last verse, seeing untruth in untruth and truth in truth, the wise meet many, but greet only one. These two verses, I don't want to expound on it. I feel like this video is full. This video is full. If you want to go deeper into these verses, you can get this book. Yeah, that's my shameless plug. It's on Amazon. I've written commentary, and as I mentioned, I'm a therapist. If you need therapy, once I'm taking clients, I'll be happy to talk with you. And that's it for today. Maybe I'll do one more video. Maybe I won't. I don't know. Tata.